Hi everyone, my name is Laurie of AFTV and it's my absolute honour and pleasure to be able to welcome you along today to episode 146 of the Talk is Cheap show. Yes, 146. Joining me today on the Talk is Cheap show, none other than my good friend, co-host, show analyst, former professional footballer, social media influencer and icon, Mr. Curtis Shaw of Curtis Shaw TV in the house. What you saying, brother?
What's happening, bro? Hey, that intro never gets boring for me, I can't lie. That's worth the drive down. But no, I'm good, man. Good to be here. And yeah, lots to talk
Always
about,
good
bro.
to see you, man. And you're right, we've got lots to talk about. So let's get straight into it. For those of you who watch the show regularly, you will know that our first item is always, well, it's not always, but a lot of the time, news and notes. And we've got a few news and notes items this week. We have to start by paying tribute to King Pele, the King, who we got the news just after our show last week, so he wasn't able to cover it last week, that Pele had passed away after, quite a long sickness, passed colon cancer, 82 years old. We didn't get a chance to pay our respects last week, but we're going to do so briefly this week. Yeah. I'll just start by saying, because I'm the oldest statesman here, that, listen, man, Pele, growing up for me, was the GOAT, and for many reasons will remain the GOAT. I know there's that generational argument. People talk about Maradona and Messi, and listen, you can make arguments for all of those aforementioned players, but to me, growing up, as a young black kid especially, Pele was the man. And I mean, growing up, there were like two sporting icons for me that stood out, Pele and Muhammad Ali, so he was up there on that level. But yeah, man, great player, 1,000+ goals, 3 World Cups, first one when he was 17, absolute icon of the game and a real gentleman as well. Had everything, man.
Yeah. For me, I'd say the godfather of football, really.
Yeah.
He made that number 10 shirt iconic. He was doing things that a lot of players had never done. You know, I even see a video where they said he was doing the Cruyff turn before Johan Cruyff. You know, he started it all, and like you said, 3 World Cups. Definitely one of, if not the greatest ever, depending on who your preference is, but obviously sad that he passed away. Sad, and legend of football. And great to see the tributes he's been getting. Obviously well deserved.
Amazing, right across the world, all different genres, everybody. So a true legend of the game has passed. Whilst we're on the sad news of people passing away in football, it's only right that we mention David Gold, who was the joint chairman of West Ham. He passed away recently. We send our condolences to him and his family, friends, and all the West Ham fans. Yeah, I'm sure you echo that.
Yeah, of course. Heard about him in the game before. I think there was at Birmingham City before, Gold and Sullivan, and then obviously West Ham. So yeah, sad news.
Yeah, I mean, they took over from the Icelandic group that was managing before, and they'd had problems. They came on board, and I think it's fair to say they did a very good job with West Ham. We send our condolences, like we said, to family, friends, everybody associated with David Gold and West Ham. Right, okay, moving on. News and notes that grabbed the attention this week. Ronaldo. Listen, some people would say that he's the GOAT.
Yeah, some would.
Some would. Signed for El Nassr, Saudi Arabia. Somewhat surprising to a lot of people.
Well, maybe. You know, it's a bit hard to turn down £3 million a week. I think the most...
No, but he's gone there to win trophies.
Apparently it was his dream to play.
Well, the man said his work in Europe is done. And now he's come to spread the gospel of football around the world.
I think the best thing, though, and we spoke about it, was during the press conference where he said, I've come to South Africa. Maybe the money's made him a little bit confused, you know. He's got so much money in his
pocket. He doesn't know where part of the world he's at.
Where am I? $3 million a week. Do you know what? I love the way at the start of the press conference he was like, I've had offers from Europe, Brazil, America. We were like, okay, you know.
No, but you know what? I don't think that's too far-fetched.
He probably has, but...
Because, listen, just the marketing...
alone
that accompanies a guy like that is going to be worth its weight in gold. When he said that, a lot of people were kind of clowning on it. I thought, no, that's probably true, you know.
Yeah, I mean...
That is probably true.
I think it was interesting how he said before, like, I wouldn't retire in one of these leagues.
Something about dignity.
Yeah, and then, but when £3 million a week's in your pocket, sometimes your dignity disappears.
I was going to say, it's amazing how money can erode dignity.
But listen, fair play to him. I think he's got to accept the point in the career he's at.
Yeah.
You're not the same player you used to be. And listen, obviously the top level clubs in Europe weren't particularly desperate to get him in. I think if you can get a deal like that at the age of 37, he's 38 in February. From a financial standpoint, it's unbelievable. I'm sure he scored goals there. You saw the mania around the stadium when he turned up. So I think he's probably done the right thing.
No, you know what? I'm going to take him at his word, man. I mean, listen, I'm sure that the money played a huge part, right?
Yeah.
But let's be honest, it must be quite an exciting project for him at this stage of his career to go somewhere like that in that part of the world and grow the game there. I mean, you saw in the World Cup with Qatar the way they've embraced football in that part of the world. So I think it's a good look, man. I wish him all the best.
No, I wish him all the best. I think obviously he's going to help them potentially get the World Cup 2030 over there as well. They're already offering Ramos and Firmino. You'll see a number of players go there now. Listen, big move for
They'll
him.
They'll be going there to win trophies.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Yeah,
okay, moving on. Before we move off the news and notes, I just want to send a special shout out to everybody at AFTV, my brother, everybody, not just him obviously, but everybody connected with AFTV, because they had a significant milestone. They passed 1.5 million in subs. So
yeah, man, big
digital round of applause to everybody concerned with AFTV. Congratulations. And no plans to marry on AFTV anytime soon?
No. I see people proposing this week. I said, listen.
You may have seen the fan cam.
Yeah.
Man flew all the way over here, man, got down on one knee, proposed to his girl. Only live on AFTV.
She said yes as well, right?
She did say yes.
Fair play. It's a good job she said yes.
You know what I mean? I said to Turkish, shout out to Turkish.
Yeah.
He proposed to his fiancée the other day. I said, you could have saved yourself a trip, man.
Yeah,
Let's go down the Emirates.
He could have done it on camera.
Yeah, he went all the way to Paris.
Fair play to him, man.
But yeah, man, listen, okay, we're moving on. That's news and notes out the way. We've got a lot to talk about, so let's get it popping. Arsenal's game, last game since the last show. Let's talk about that. Arsenal, at home to Newcastle, top of the table clash, first versus third. The narrative was, could Arsenal beat another top four side and maintain their winning run and top of the table form? I'm going to keep this fairly brief because I have to say that the game wasn't the best I've seen.
No.
It wasn't a snore fest. It was intriguing, but I have to say it wasn't.
It lacked quality.
It lacked a bit of quality. It lacked, highlights. But hey, it is what it is. It was a intriguing game. I'm just going to go through the match stats, and then I'm going to ask Curtis his thoughts on the game. So, shots on goal, Arsenal 17 to Newcastle's 8. Shots on target, Arsenal 4 to Newcastle 1. Possession, Arsenal in the majority there, 67% to Newcastle's 33%. Completed passes, Arsenal once again came out higher, 536 and Newcastle's 253. And the pass accuracy, Arsenal 85%, Newcastle 71%. But the all-important stat, goals 0-0. Curtis, take it from here. What was your thoughts on the game, bro?
I mean, first of all, I think we have to give some credit to Newcastle. Sometimes it's easy when you're a fan of a club, you only concentrate on yours, you've got to look at them. I think Newcastle came here to spoil this game. They didn't want this to be a classic, they didn't want highlights. They wanted to stop us from playing and see if they could nick a goal on the break or from the counter-attack. They were whipping in crosses from the halfway line. They were getting free kicks on the halfway line and pushing everyone up and just whipping it in. Kieran Trippier with his delivery. So I thought you could see why they've got the best defence in the league. Very well organised, physical, difficult to break down, don't give you anything. And I thought they did well. Going forward, they didn't offer much, which obviously maybe frustrated Arsenal fans a little bit because we felt like...
I was going to say, what do you think? There's been some criticism by a lot of Arsenal fans, and I know Robbie shares that view as well, that Newcastle were almost overly negative.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
Listen, I think football nowadays, we only kind of praise attacking football, scoring goals, excitement, flair. We don't look at defending it with any kind of high praise, and I think you have to praise them for that. Now, if you go to any other club in the top four and you play away from home and you get a point, it's usually a good point. Do you know what I mean? If we went to Man City and drew 0-0 and we played defensive, I'd take that all day long. They just drawn with Leeds. They needed to steady the ship a little bit. Arsenal free flowing, top of the league. They couldn't come to Arsenal and play on the front foot because we would have picked them off on the break. So
yeah, I've said to a few people, it was highly doubtful whether Newcastle were going to come to the Emirates and be expansive. I mean, you said it yourself, they've come in off the back of that. For them, disappointing result against Leeds, where common consensus was they dropped 2 points against Leeds. They should really have won that game. They come into the Emirates. It's a high-profile game. They want to stay in touch with the title.
Yeah.
Their overriding ambition in that game would have been not to lose it. So I can't really
criticise it. I think from an Arsenal point of view, first of all, I think you have to praise the team because they gave everything. 3 games in 7 days. You saw Ben White come off. He looked like he had no energy left. It's took a lot out of them. Yeah. A lot of these players are still kind of gathering their pace back from the World Cup. You know, Saliba hasn't looked fully fit since the World Cup. And 1 or 2 others. So I think
is it fitness though, or is it maybe he's not quite as sharp?
Could be confidence, but I think go into a World Cup for 6 weeks, even if you're training every day. He's only played 20 minutes of game time. Now at Arsenal, he might have played 7-8 games in 6 weeks. I do think he's not as match fit as he was before, and not as confident maybe as well. I thought we gave everything. I think as fans, we could see that we just didn't have that plan B. Sometimes you play your way, but when it doesn't work, you need to go, right, I've got him and him on the bench, and we can do something a little bit different. You saw with Newcastle, Almiron's been their best player this season. 60 minutes, not playing well, took him off, took Wilson off, put Chris Wood on, went a little bit more direct. We didn't have that option. You know, we couldn't take Martinelli off or Nketiah off. We just didn't really have a lot there.
I was going to touch on that a bit later about it.
Yeah, we'll go on to that.
Stuff like but a lot of people have commented on the referee's performance, or lack thereof. I've got to ask you, what was your thought on the referee?
I mean, listen, it's just, you know, with me, I don't get too caught up in referees in the Premier League because I always say that, unfortunately, you can't rely on a referee in the Premier League to get you a result because a lot of the time they get it wrong. VAR, you know, in this country, I think we use it worse than most of the top leagues. Look, the first penalty is a blatant penalty. The pull.
Gabriel.
Yeah, I thought he was swapping shirts with him. It's a blatant penalty, but the ref hasn't seen it. They haven't done a VAR check, and we haven't got it. For me, the handball wasn't a penalty.
I would agree with you.
I know a lot of people, and listen, at the time I was doing my watch on, I was shouting the house down. But when I watched the replay, I'm like, he's at point blank range, his arm's not out that far. If it went against Arsenal, I'd be fuming with it. But we definitely should have had the first one. I thought the ref was terrible. He turned it into a dirty game when it wasn't actually a dirty game. It was just a physical, tough battle. Tackles weren't that dirty. It was like, if someone puts a challenge in, 5 players get round the ref and he goes, oh, okay, I better book someone. He gave 5 cards
terrible in that first half. And I was watching that, and I was saying to the guys at the watch along, I was saying, somebody's going to get sent off in the second half.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
And, you know, in the end, no one got sent off, fortunately. But he kind of, I don't know, man, he compromised himself by giving away so many cards. The other thing that I found very frustrating with that ref is that he seemed to lose control. Every time there was even a semi-incident, players from both teams, not just Newcastle, Arsenal as well, would gather around the ref and start remonstrating with him, and you could see that he was looking a little bit confused, and that might have been a reason exactly why he gave them yellow cards. And you know, you watch football, these high intensity games, it's physical, it's fast, like I said, it's intense. Not every foul is a booking, not every incident needs to result in a yellow card. You know what I mean? The referee should take more control, talk to the players, communicate more. And I thought that was lacking. But I do agree with you. I'm not going to say that it's because of the ref why we didn't win. Although I do agree with you as well that shirt pull on Gabriel was 100% penalty.
100%.
But nevertheless, we never got the win. It was a draw, I think. On balance, was that fair result?
Probably. Like, taking away the penalty on the balance of play, we didn't really
But then there's no guarantee that even if we get the penalty, we're going to score it. So
we didn't really create a clear-cut chance.
We didn't. In fact, the best chance of the game actually fell to Newcastle.
The header, Joe Linton.
Got to ask you, a few people, myself included, a little bit concerned at some of Ramsdale's antics. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I didn't understand it. Like, he's got this new thing where he starts laughing at the people.
It does seem like his focus is somewhat taken away when you're having these running battles with the attackers, and you think to yourself, your job is to command that 6-yard area.
I've always said, man, goalkeepers in any dressing room, they're a different breed of footballer. Like, they're just different. Would know. You know what I mean? I remember a goalkeeper I used to play with, he used to drink 3 Red Bulls before the game. He'd literally be bouncing off the walls, you know. Maybe Ramsdale is on the Red Bull. Or maybe he's seen Arteta jumping around and thought, I'm going to start doing it as well. I was going to ask you that as well. Okay. So the game ended 0-0. Yeah.
And afterwards, there's the usual fallout. Everyone's analysing and looking at this and that. And I kind of thought to myself, and this is something I want to ask you about today. That was a very important game. That was, like I said, first versus third.
Yeah.
A real test for us. One that, we didn't quite overcome. Not that we did badly, but we didn't quite overcome. But I'm looking at that and I thought there were a lot of lessons to take away from that game.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Not so much about the game now, about the things that you took away from that game, that projecting forward could influence the end of the season. Because we do have a number of games coming up that are going to be just like that one. So I think it was worth us looking at the game and looking at the fallout and seeing little things that you saw there that could be instrumental moving forward. And there was something you alluded to earlier that I thought, actually, and I want to ask you about now, and that was that seeming lack of plan B.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I took from that game, and I'm trying not to be overtly critical or hypercritical, but again, and this is something that I've mentioned on the show before with the manager, Mikel Arteta, lack of substitutions. Now, he did make a substitution, but there was no attacking options used. Now, some people have made comments like, Fabio Vieira is a bit lightweight, this is his type of game and stuff like that. But nevertheless, he's an attacking player. He came to the club with a very good reputation. We've seen him do bits before, so we know he's got talent. Why wasn't he used?
And listen, I think it's a fair question to ask. A lot of people have said this, Vieira is lightweight, this was a physical game, you can't bring him on. If you look throughout the years, some of the best creative players have been very lightweight players. You look at Ozil, David Silva, players of that ilk. I'm not saying Vieira's as good as them, but a similar kind of player. I feel like those players, they play with their brain, their movement, their intelligence. They're not...
Well, listen, Santi Cazorla and Fabregas are hardly what you call Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I think it was more, I was looking at it as, we needed a midfielder in the summer. We needed a winger with Pepe going and maybe backup for Partey. And you're thinking, you've spent 35 million on Vieira. He's got a big reputation in Portugal. He's played in the Champions League. This was a game where we needed a goal, a bit of creativity. I'm surprised we didn't use him. And I know what people are saying, lightweight, this, that, the other. But Odegaard, who plays the similar position, he's quite lightweight, but he's very good on the ball, reads the game well. So I just thought it sent a message to the fans that maybe he doesn't really trust this guy. And he did start against Brentford and score at Brentford. Klopp said the other day that Brentford one of the most physical teams that Liverpool have played against. So the whole physical thing for me was a bit of a cop-out a little bit, I felt. But maybe Arteta was trying to send a message to the board that, listen, apart from bringing on Tomiyasu, I've got nothing left, Well,
he did. He had Vieira, he had Marquinhos. Okay, listen, Marquinhos has been used very sparingly.
Yeah.
But he did score in his debut. He looked very good. I know he's not figured much since then. But I mean, listen, you got a bench. You have to utilise your bench at times when things are not going your way. I just felt there was a lack of what I call tactical dexterity there. You know what I mean? I would have liked to have seen him try something a bit different. I mean, people will say, but what happened if we lose the game? But you've got to try something a bit different.
You've got to roll the dice,
Look at Eddie Howe, right? So he had Callum Wilson up front, wasn't getting much change out of our defence. What did he do? He made the change.
Chris Wood,
he tried something different. Okay, they never got a goal, but he tried something. I was a little disappointed that we didn't try anything.
I even felt we could have possibly put Zinchenko in midfield. and put Tierney at left back, because I think Martinelli needed a fullback to get around him, because Martinelli was 2-on-1 a lot of that game, and I think Tierney could have helped him. So I think we just wanted to see him try something a little bit different to mix it up a little bit. But
this is what I'm talking about.
I think
dexterity.
I think Arteta was really intent on sending a message to the board that I've got nothing there on the bench.
He was really intense, all right.
Do you know what he did? He did more running than some of the players.
The amount of energy that he exhibited that night.
Yeah.
You know, what's your thoughts on that? Because I've got to be honest with you, bro. I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest.
No.
I'm not. I've said it before on this show, so I'm not trying to be. I'm not going at him now because we've not got the 3 points, but I don't know, man. I think sometimes he might, well, not sometimes, a lot of the time, he micromanages from the touchline, running and jumping around. And listen, I get it. He's intense, he wants to win, but I do think sometimes you just need to just calm down and focus on the game a bit.
I mean, listen, I don't mind showing a bit of intent and passion and stuff, you're having it with the other manager, but I think some of it was a bit over the top. I think sometimes as a player...
Do you think that can be to the detriment of the team, or don't you think it matters?
I think sometimes just you need a bit of calmness, don't you, to the situation. I think he was caught up in the moment. You know, I think he felt very hard done by the ref. A little bit of frustration that we weren't winning the game as well. You heard his interview, you could tell he was very tense. He was like, no, I'm proud of my players, I'm proud. The referee got, you know, I think he got caught up in the moment a little bit, but I think the pressure will get bigger than this.
Well, this is it.
We're only 16, 17 games in. When you get to 25, 30 games, the pressure gets even higher. So
listen, there's over 20 games to the end of the season.
Yeah.
If he's going to start blowing up like this, what's going to happen when there's 3-4 games left and there's a point or so, if that is the case, between us and City or Newcastle or whoever it may be? What's going to happen then?
You've got to think as well, he's never been in this situation. This is new to him as well, you know, he's still learning on the job. And it's different, you know, instead of chasing, you're the hunted now. So it's going to bring different reactions out of people. So,
absolutely.
You know.
And again, listen, let me qualify what I'm saying. I'm trying not to be overtly critical or hypercritical. I'm just pointing out things that I saw that I thought, okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right, so moving on to something else, you alluded to it when we spoke about the lack of subs, the squad not being strong enough. Now, listen, it's no secret. Everybody knows that we need to strengthen the squad, and indeed, everyone out there will know that we're in the hunt for new players, one of whom is Mudryk. We know that Chelsea are also expressing an interest, so much so that apparently I'm hearing that...
their sporting director, he's going to the Chelsea game. Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on the Mudryk situation?
Listen...
Are we going to get him?
I hope so. Obviously, Chelsea are for a spanner in the works, because we know what Chelsea are like. They just throw money down on the table. And Shakhtar want money. Shakhtar apparently lost 50 million last summer because they sold players on the cheap because of the war and stuff. You know, a lot of players wanted to leave. So they've lost a lot of money. This is their golden child.
This is their asset.
This is their big asset. They're going to try and get every penny they can out of it. He clearly wants to go to Arsenal. He's twerking all over the place for Arsenal. Every meme he likes it.
Twerking?
Yeah, well, you know, he likes every comment, everything to do with Arsenal. I think the thing for me is Arsenal have to be aware of how much are you willing to pay for him, and at what point do you say you take it or leave it. What we can't do is take a long time with this and then not get the deal done, like what happened with Vlahovic last year. I know it's a little bit different because Mudryk wants to come to Arsenal. Vlahovic didn't seem to even want to answer the phone. You know what I mean? They were leaving all their messages on red,
well,
you know?
If you believe what he says, he was never interested.
He was never interested. So I think for me as an Arsenal fan, the frustration is, you see with Liverpool, Diaz got injured. Week later, Gakpo.
Done.
Paper, holding up the shirt, welcome to Anfield. You know what I mean? We know that Jesus been out since the start of December, so I was like, get someone in at the start of the window because we've got big games coming up. I know it's not always easy when you're talking about 60, 70 million pound deals, but listen, they're going to go to Chelsea. I'm sure Chelsea are going to throw a big bag of money on the table. And we got to hope that because of his intent to come to Arsenal, that Shakhtar negotiate with us. But the fact that they want money and Chelsea, you know, it depends how much weight.
It also depends on how much the board really want to win this title.
Yeah.
Because I think, and I think, again, the other night against Newcastle showed when we didn't have a bench that can impact the game, as it were.
Yeah.
That strengthening the squad in January is all important. I say it on this show every week. Curtis says it as well. We're not just the only ones who say it. Loads of fans say you need to strengthen the squad. It's not so much a spend as investment, the way I look at it. And listen, a few months ago we were hearing that Stan Kroenke is the richest man in sport. So if it means that we have to up the ante and offer a few extra million euros, then so be it. If you've identified this guy as the guy you think can come in and enhance the team to the point where winning the title is a very real possibility, spend the extra money.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, Arteta's saying in his interview, like, look, the squad's short. Yeah. He's trying to put that pressure on the board, which I think is the right thing to do. And like you said, with Arsenal, I think we were speaking there off camera with Liam Robbie and was saying, you know, Casemiro, Man United probably overpaid for him really at 30 years of age. But he's such a good player. No one cares about the price tag. No one cared at Liverpool when they bought Van Dijk for 70. Everyone's, oh my God, it's too much. Within 6 months, you're going, they probably underpaid for him. He was that good. If this guy is the guy you want, put the money down, get him in. And if he's not, then move on and you've got to go plan B and find somebody else.
I mean, Arteta's done a great job. I mean, we've highlighted one or two areas that, you know, give us a little bit of cause for concern. But overall, he's done a great job. This season in particular. If he's identified Mudryk as the man he believes can enhance a team and get it that title, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Listen,
back him, put the money up, and get the deal done.
I think this is a very dangerous window for the Kroenkes because if, number one, the fans and the manager, you're in a position that most of us didn't expect to be in. If they don't back him sufficiently in this window, he's going to sit here and think, well, where is this club really going with this ownership in charge? I think as fans, we just want to see Arsenal go for it. I've said before, if we go and buy a couple of players and we fall short of Manchester City, we can all hold our hands up and say, we did our best, we went for it, we're just not quite at that level. But if they don't strengthen and they don't back the manager and we fall short, we're all going to be thinking, well, where would we have finished if we'd have bought properly in January? Absolutely. And that for me is the frustration now. It's like, don't miss out on this opportunity. If you've got to pay 10 million more for a player, then pay it. You know, it could repay itself by winning your Premier League. So
I absolutely
have to go for it.
Everything you just said. And like I said before, to me, history will reflect poorly on the Kroenkes if they don't go out there and back him and give him the money. So to me, it's not just a case of, you know, I mean, us perhaps paid over the odds. It's how much you really want to play. How much do you really value that title opportunity? Because if you do, then you back him and you get the money out. You get that money out. We don't do checkbooks anymore.
No more checkbooks.
Put that money in the account. Ready for Arteta to do that transaction, man. But he's not the only one, is he?
No.
We need some more.
I mean, we're being linked with João Felix, who I think would be a very good signing. It's just sort of the structure of the deal at the moment. Atletico left him out of their squad for their cup game, which was interesting. At the moment, they're asking for some crazy loan fee with no option to buy. I think as the month goes on, that will change. They can't have such an expensive asset just sitting there and he's falling out with the manager. So I think if you can negotiate an option to buy and reduce the loan fee, I think that would be a great signing for us because I think we do need a striker. No disrespect to Eddie, but you know, you need a different option. You know, the other night, even Newcastle had Chris Wood. They got Isaac, who we tried to sign. You know, they had more options than us. So I think that would be another very good signing for us. And we're top of the league, so people will want to join us right now. You know, we're an attractive proposition.
Again, I say it on this show every week, the time to build is when you're in a position of strength.
Yeah.
We are in a position of strength right now. We're top of the table. We're looking good. Players will want to come.
Definitely.
As I think you'll see with Mudryk.
Yeah.
They want to come. So now is the time to cash in and get them.
Yeah.
You know, I've said it on the show many weeks before, I was still in favour of Tielemans. I know some people interest in Tielemans has cooled somewhat, but I'm noticing that he's playing well for Leicester. He's one of the few Leicester players that can hold his head up high.
There aren't many of them.
It's not many. Would you still be in the market for Tielemans? Because I think midfield is an area as well that we do, you know, in that area there.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
We're very heavily dependent on people like Partey.
Massively.
No disrespects to El Nene, who's a good squad player, but if Partey anything was to happen to him,
we got a big problem.
it's a big drop-off.
It's a big problem. I think the issue with Tielemans, why they're not desperate to get him at the moment, is because I think they want a more defensive-minded midfielder, which could cover Thomas Partey, where I think Tielemans is the more creative and attacking, maybe where Xhaka's playing. Listen, if we got him and he was cheap, I think I wouldn't mind us signing him. I just get this impression now with Arsenal that they're going to wait until the summer for Tielemans and try and pick him up on a free, which, is that the right decision? I don't know.
Me.
Maybe they're targeting someone else.
Because like I said, and you said it, Curtis, earlier in the show when you said no one expected us to be in this position that we are now. Things have aligned just right for us. We're now in the midst of a concerted campaign to win the title. And I think we've got to go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, listen, I mean, we've been linked with Declan Rice as well. I think that's more a summer move, potentially. I don't think he would leave mid-season. I think the problem we got with Leicester now, it looks as if Tielemans he's not going to sign a new contract. Now, anyone who was to buy him now, you'd be paying a reduced fee for him because a club would say he's only got 6 months left, so you'd give him 10, 15 million for him. Now, they're in a relegation battle, so I would imagine Leicester would say, what's the point taking 15 million for him? Keep him till the summer and try and stay in the league and just let him go. Listen, if we got him, I think it would still be a good signing. He would offer us something different. He's got quality on the ball. And I do think we need a midfielder.
He's Premier League ready.
We need a midfielder.
He's won the Premier League already.
Yeah, was he there when they won it? I don't know if he was there.
Oh, actually.
He might have come afterwards.
Don't quote me on that.
No, I think he came afterwards.
Listen, I am right in saying he's battle tested and ready.
Yeah, he is.
He's been in the Premier League. He's been a very good player. He's a Belgian international. To me, in the absence of other players in that situation,
it would be a good addition.
It would be a good acquisition.
Yeah.
Go for it again.
Yeah, we definitely need a midfielder.
But yeah, so in essence, that Newcastle game highlighted some areas that we're short on and we need to improve on if we're going to mount a concerted campaign. We're not far off.
No.
But I still think that there are areas we need to.
It's just that plan B, innit?
Yeah.
You know, when you look at Man City, I looked at City the other day, they brought on Foden, Gundogan and Alvarez, triple change, and you're thinking, look at the level of player that's coming off the bench. Alvarez has just won the World Cup. Foden would start at most teams. Gundogan's top quality as well. We need players who can come on and change the game. We're not going to have Man City because they've got so much money. But you need players. I mean, Smith Rowe's back next week, which is a big boost for us because Smith Rowe's a very good player. If you can get a Mudryk, a Tielemans, a Felix and have a couple more, get Jesus back next month, you might have 3-4 players there on the bench that can all come on and make a big difference. So, that's what this month's got to be about.
Absolutely. There you have it, people. Those are the things that we took from the Newcastle game. That it's not just the result.
Yeah.
You're looking at other areas you think, actually, going forward, this needs to be addressed. So that's why I felt that this was an important conversation to have. Yeah. But anyway, so moving on, that was the Premier League. This week we take a break from the Premier League and it's all about the FA Cup, a competition that, I think over the years we've done very well in. In recent years, however, we've not done so great. We got knocked out in the third round last year against Forest. Yeah. Very disappointing performance for a number of reasons that we won't go into now. The year before, I think we got knocked out in the fourth round, Southampton, again, disappointing. But the year before that, we'd won it. So it's about time we had a decent cup run. This year, in the third round, we've been drawn against Oxford. Let's look at Oxford. Oxford, managed by Carl Robinson, you may have heard about Milton Keynes before. A League One side, Oxford are, which is the third tier of the English Football League. They're currently 14th out of 24 teams in League One. What they've done this season, 24 games, 29 points, 7 wins, 8 draws, 9 losses. So I think it's fair to say
they're not
that
great.
Oxford are not the best team Arsenal would have faced this season by a long way. Their last 5 games, I think they've only won 1 in their last 5. 1-1, drawn 2, lost 2. Curtis, looking at that, you would thought that it should be, if not comfortable, but a very winnable game for Arsenal this week.
I mean, listen, the thing with the FA Cup, the reason this game's on TV is because the TV are hoping for an upset. If this was at the Emirates, it wouldn't be on TV because they'd expect us to batter them 3-4-0 at home. Any game away from home against lower league, it'll be sold out, the fans will be noisy, the players will be, it's a cup final for them. They'll turn it into a horrible game. But it's an opportunity for us to progress. The FA Cup, some would say, is probably the reason Arteta is still the manager of the club, really. I think that bought him a lot more time by winning the FA Cup. And it's interesting because I would say out of the 3 competitions that we're in this season now, this is probably the least important in my opinion. We haven't won a European trophy for a long time, so I think Europa League would be very big. And obviously winning the title is number 1. But I think we can rotate, play a weaker team and win this game. Winning boosts confidence, boosts momentum, use it for Fabio Vieira. It's interesting because, Newcastle was physical. This will probably be a physical game as well, but I'm sure.
I mean, let's be honest, Oxford are not going to try and play us off the park.
No, they're not. So Vieira's and Marquinhos.
He's going to be saying to his guys, look, let's make this physical, which is, like you said, ironic that Fabio Vieira probably started this game.
Yeah. And but for me, Smith Rowe, it's massive for him. As Wenger used to say, be like a new signing coming back from injury. But Smith Rowe is genuinely like, if you were to buy him as a player now, he would cost big money. So, he got double figures for his last season and we just need that different option. So if he can get through maybe 60, 70 minutes, I'm sure would be great for him, take him off and try and have him available for that North London derby. So Excellent. It should be a win, but it'll be a physical game. But I expect us to progress, to be honest.
I don't know. I'm not going to pretend and say I know too much about Oxford. I will be doing more and more research as the game draws nearer. But, looking at their form so far this season, it's not exactly great.
No.
Whereas we're flying at the moment. Okay, we had the draw against Newcastle, but even in that game, we could easily have won it. I don't think we've been outplayed by anybody this season.
No.
So you're looking at this game, to me, it's an excellent chance to get through to the next round. As you said, we're all excited about Smith Rowe coming back because if he comes through this and looks good, then you're thinking, he's going to play an important part in things going forward. It's funny because the last time we played Oxford was actually in the FA Cup.
Okay.
In 2003.
Yeah.
So that's 20 years ago we beat them 2-0.
Yeah.
Bergkamp scored. Edu was in that game.
Wow.
So that shows
time ago.
Edu played in that game.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. But
he might play in this game. Put him and Arteta in midfield.
But listen, the likes of Fabio Vieira we spoke of at length, he'll play. I would have thought. Marquinhos, who we spoke about, I'm sure he will get some minutes. I'm looking forward to seeing him back playing again. Sambi Lokonga, and I'm a fan of Sambi. I know you're.
I'm not going to say
less
too
than
much.
Infused.
Yeah, I'm not.
About Sambi. Sambi's been asking for minutes. He's not quite got them. I'm pretty sure
he'll get a run this game
on Monday. So listen, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm old school, man. I value the FA Cup.
Yeah.
And let's face it, the FA Cup's got Arsenal out of a lot of trouble in recent years. We've not been looking like doing anything in the Premier League. The FA Cup's come to our rescue. So it's kind of ironic this year that some of the fans are looking past that, just looking at the title. But I hope we have a good cup run.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, you look at the draw, Man City have got Chelsea at the weekend. So that's one big team out. I think there's 3 or 4 all Premier League ties. Man United got Everton, I believe. So a few Prem teams are going to go out of it straight away. So listen, just keep ourselves in there. You know what I mean? Opportunity for the fringe players to get game time as well. And listen, let's try and win more than one trophy, man.
Yeah,
Let's get a couple.
And listen, I know it doesn't look like it now. We're in cold January. Actually, it's not as cold as it's been in recent years. But listen, man, fast forward to May, and it's nice and warm, and there's a day out to Wembley, man. No one's going to turn that down, are they?
No, we'll all take that.
Yeah,
you know what I
I'd
mean?
love that, man, personally. Yeah. But okay, I don't want to waffle on. Let's cut to the chase. Prediction and why?
I'm going to go for a 3-0 win. I think we'll be too good for them. I also think that Arteta will play a half-decent team. I don't think he'll be as weak as a lot of us may expect, because I think due to the fact that we don't play Tottenham until a week this Sunday, I think he'll still be keen for some of these players to get some game time just to keep ticking over. So I think he'll play a half-decent team. I just think we'll have too much quality for them.
Any of the regulars that you could see starting in this game?
Because the thing is, we don't have loads of options. We can't rest everyone.
Yeah.
For one player, I would not be playing Thomas Partey in this game at all. I would wrap him up in cotton wool for this game.
What about Eddie, though? Because if Eddie plays, and if he was to get a knock, God forbid,
there's no one else really.
Your attacking options are severely limited.
See, this would be a good game really to play Eddie, more confidence, get another goal. On the flip side, if he gets injured, you don't have another fit striker at the club. So, that's a tricky one with Eddie really.
It is.
Then who do you play up front if Eddie doesn't play then?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Unless you push Martinelli central or something, but we don't have a lot of option there. So, but I think Tierney will play, Turner, Holding will play, maybe Cedric, although he's being linked with a move. El Neni and Lokonga, Vieira, maybe one of Saka and Martinelli, because we could play Marquinhos, Vieira and Ketty. I don't know. I think one of them will at least be on the bench, but Thomas Partey for 100%, I wouldn't even take him to the game. I'd say you chill out for a few days, but yeah. Okay. I think we'll have too much for him, so I go for 3-0.
I agree. So you've gone for 3-0, was it 3 clear goals? I've gone by at least a couple goals. I do think ultimately, no disrespect to Oxford, but I think we are superior to them in terms of talent, ability, and pretty much everything fitness-wise. We should have too much.
Yeah.
I'm expecting us to win. But hey, we don't want to disrespect Oxford. I'm sure they'll come and give it their best.
Yeah.
And, it could be a very good game.
Yeah.
So, I think there'll be goals and I think we'll win.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So you've heard Curtis's prediction, you've heard mine. We're coming to a close now. Thanks, guys, for watching the show, for supporting us as you've always done. Keep it going throughout 2023. We really do appreciate it. Hope you've enjoyed what we spoke about today. We looked at the Newcastle game, but not just looking at the game itself. There were certain areas that we identified that we feel could be instrumental going forward, and we've tried to highlight those and we've given our opinions on those. Let us know what you think. Keep the show interactive. Thank you very much for supporting. See you guys next week. We're out.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.